Something strange is happening between Gwen Stefani and Blake Shelton, and it has fans asking one question they never expected to hear again. Are these two quietly repairing their marriage behind the scenes? Because after months of breakup rumors, distance, and online speculation, the couple was suddenly spotted together looking closer than they have in a very long time. And what happened after that sighting flipped the entire narrative upside down. It started with a simple grocery store run in Los Angeles. Nothing glamorous, nothing staged, just the two of them walking side by side pushing a cart. But people who were actually there said the energy felt different. They weren't cold. They weren't ignoring each other. In fact, it looked like to people who were really trying to reconnect. And that alone sent the internet into meltdown. But the real shock? This was one of their first public appearances together in weeks, maybe months, and the timing couldn't have been more explosive. Because leading up to this moment, rumors about their marriage had been spiraling completely out of control. Fans online swore something was off. They noticed Gwen showing up solo to events where Blake would normally be glued to her side. They noticed Blake suddenly disappearing from Gwen's social media. They noticed how neither of them seemed excited to address the speculation. Then came the breaking point, their duet Hangin' On, a breakup-themed song that instantly made people think the worst. Was it a hidden message? Were they hinting at a real-life split? Blake tried to shut that down, saying the song wasn't reflective of their marriage at all. But honestly, by that point, nobody was buying it, and that's when the tabloids pounced. Some claimed their marriage was ice cold. Others claimed they were barely speaking. A few even suggested they were preparing for a quiet separation. And because Gwen and Blake weren't publicly shutting anything down, the story kept snowballing until it became a full-on media storm. Fans were fighting. Gossip sites were making money off speculation. And every minor detail was treated like breaking news. But behind all that noise, something surprising was brewing because people close to the couple were saying the exact opposite. According to insiders, the marriage wasn't collapsing at all. They said the rumors were overblown, exaggerated, and completely taken out of context. Yes, they were busy. Yes, they weren't posting together as much. But apparently, that had everything to do with demanding work schedules, and not a collapsing relationship. One source even called the split rumors ridiculous and added that Gwen and Blake were solid. And here's where things get interesting. Because those insiders also hinted that the couple was going through something very real. But not in the way the public assumed. It wasn't drama. It wasn't cheating. It wasn't a secret fight. It was simply life. Gwen was juggling music, fashion, parenting, and brand deals. Blake was shifting his energy after leaving The Voice and focusing on a more private lifestyle. They were pulled in different directions, and that distance naturally created tension. A friend even claimed some people around them were worried they might drift apart if they didn't slow down. Nothing dramatic, just the fear that a high-profile couple could crumble under the weight of fame and schedules. And honestly, that explanation hit fans a lot harder than the wild rumors. Because sometimes the slow fade hurts more than the big explosion. But Gwen wasn't about to let the world assume the worst. In her own subtle way, she started pushing back. No dramatic interviews, no angry posts, just a calm, intentional effort to show that her marriage wasn't falling apart. She began posting small, sweet moments. She shared holiday plans. She talked about family. She made sure her ring was visible in photos. Every tiny detail felt like a quiet message. Relax. We're fine. And again, just when people started thinking the marriage might truly be crumbling, she and Blake stepped out together in public, almost like they were saying, without saying it, "We're here. Chill out." But even with the reassurance, fans couldn't help noticing the deeper emotional layers. Because when Gwen and Blake were photographed side by side again, the energy between them didn't look cold. It didn't look forced. It didn't look staged for PR. Insiders claimed the spark was still very much alive. They still laughed together. They still flirt. They still have chemistry that never fully went away. And apparently, they've been very intentional about spending more time together lately. Whether it's at the ranch, in California, or backstage at events. Their insiders say they're choosing each other more. Slowly, quietly, carefully. But this isn't the first time Gwen and Blake have battled a wave of breakup rumors. Their entire love story began in chaos. They met on The Voice in 2014 when both were coming out of painful divorces. They bonded through grief, heartbreak, and healing. Their connection shocked everyone. People doubted them, criticized them, even predicted they wouldn't last a year. But they pushed through all of it. They built a blended family. They survived long-distance touring, career changes, and nonstop public judgment. And through every rumor cycle, every tabloid story, every dramatic online meltdown somehow, they always found their way back to each other. And that context matters now more than ever. Because while the internet loves a breakup narrative, Gwen and Blake's history suggests something different. These two don't run when things get messy. They rebuild. They reset. They recalibrate. So when fans saw them together recently, not fighting, not cold, but calm, united, it sparked a different kind of conversation. Not that their done narrative the tabloids pushed, but a quieter, more human one. Maybe they're working on it. Maybe they're choosing to fix things privately instead of feeding the drama publicly. Maybe they decided their connection is worth fighting for. So the big question becomes, what does this new chapter really mean? Is this the beginning of a full reconciliation to people choosing each other again after a rough patch? Or is it something else entirely? Maybe they're not fixing anything because nothing was ever truly broken. Maybe they're simply reconnecting after life pulled them in different directions. Or maybe this is their way of reminding everyone that their marriage isn't a storyline for the internet to decide. Either way, one thing is clear. Gwen Stefani and Blake Shelton aren't done. Not emotionally, not publicly, not privately. Something is happening behind the scenes, something deliberate, something intentional. Whether it's healing, rebuilding, or simply recentering their relationship, they're doing it together, quietly, away from the chaos, away from the noise. And honestly, that might be the strongest sign of all, because sometimes the loudest message is the one said without words.